Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something that is completely flipping the cybersecurity world on its head. We're talking about Google's CodeMender and how it's fundamentally shifting us from, well, slow human speed remediation to lightning fast AI speed autonomous patching. Look, if you've ever dealt with an overwhelming, crushing backlog of security tickets, you know exactly how frustrating that grind can be. But the landscape is shifting rapidly right now. So let's break down exactly how this autonomous agent works, and more importantly, why it matters so much to you.
Okay, I want you to picture an incredible scene. We're in conference room 7B at Google's Mountain View campus. There's a whiteboard covered in a massive tangle of architecture diagrams, but nobody's even looking at it. Instead, you've got three engineers huddled around a single monitor. They're watching an agent autonomously trace a super complex C++ heap buffer overflow that's buried deep, and I mean really deep, inside a parsing routine. And here's the absolute kicker. The agent was doing all of this without a single human touching a keyboard. The code was, quite literally, repairing itself in real time. And what's truly staggering about this? It only took 30 seconds. 30 seconds. In half a minute, the agent managed to read the code, trace the control flow, completely materialize a root cause patch, run the regressions, and actually prove that the fix held up. 30 seconds from the vulnerability getting flagged to a fully validated fix. I mean, to put that into perspective, that's a process that might normally eat up a full afternoon for a highly skilled developer just to locate the bug, let alone actually understand and patch the whole thing.
So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The asymmetry problem, 2. Inside the loop, 3. The AI arms race, 4. The enterprise strategy, and 5. The force multiplier.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the asymmetry problem. Look, for as long as we can remember automated tools, things like fuzzers and static analyzers, they were absolutely brilliant at discovering bugs at machine speed. Finding the flaw, that was never really the bottleneck, but the actual remediation, that was totally stuck at human speed. Every single flagged vulnerability required an actual engineer to sit down, understand it, design a safe patch, and then test it. And what does that do? It creates these dangerous, weeks-long backlogs of open tickets. Essentially, the bad guys were out there moving at machine speed, and we, the good guys, were stuck moving at human speed. It was a totally uneven playing field.
Okay, let's move right along to Section 2, inside the loop.
So we really need to understand what CodeMender actually is. It is absolutely not just a simple linter, and it definitely doesn't just hand developers a scary report and wish them the best of luck. It's a fully autonomous system powered by Gemini DeepThink models that actually understands a bug's root cause. Like, in one specific case, it didn't just treat a surface-level heap buffer overflow symptom. Nope, it identified that the actual underlying problem was incorrect XML stack management, several layers deep. It's literally treating the disease, not just slapping a Band-Aid on the symptom.
And the way it does this is so cool. It relies on this really rigorous multi-agent validation loop that works in perfect three-part harmony. First up, a primary agent drafts the initial patch. Then, a specialized second agent runs the regression testing suite. And finally, a third agent, which acts as an LLM-based judge, does a strict line-by-line comparison to make sure there is zero functional regression. If that judge detects even a tiny failure, it feeds it right back to the primary agent to self-correct. It just loops and loops until the fix is perfect. And only then does it surface the file for human review. And hey, this isn't just some theoretical research project anymore. In just its first 6 months, CodeMender successfully upstreamed 72 validated fixes to major open-source projects. That proved it could handle codebases as massively complex as 4.5 million lines of code. It even has the ability to retroactively apply bounds checks to neutralize entire classes of vulnerabilities, like those nasty buffer overflows that completely plagued the libweb library back in 2023. We're talking about deleting entire threat classes permanently. Which brings us to Section 3, the AI arms race. So how in the world did this move so unbelievably fast, from DeepMind research to a massive Google I/O keynote? Well, the urgency actually came from outside the building. Anthropic's Mythos model came along and proved that offensive AI could autonomously hunt 0 days across major systems at machine speed, a real game changer. This actually prompted a rare moment of candor from Sundar Pichai at Google I/O. He publicly credited Mythos, but he acknowledged the terrifying new reality. If AI could discover 0 days faster than humans could patch them, defensive AI literally had no choice but to move at that exact same velocity. The traditional security model was practically on the verge of total collapse. Let's pivot to Section 4, the enterprise strategy.
Obviously, CodeMender isn't just operating in a vacuum out there. A much larger structure was needed. To build a truly comprehensive defense architecture, Google finalized a staggering $32 billion acquisition of the cloud exposure mapping platform Wiz back in March of 2026. This mega deal was basically the operational backbone they needed to actually bring autonomous patching to the enterprise market at scale.
The best way to think about this ecosystem is like this. Wiz acts as the continuous scout. It's out there operating across live cloud environments, prioritizing vulnerabilities and exploitable attack paths based on actual business impact. And then CodeMender serves as the mechanic, seamlessly stepping in to write and validate the patch for those specific, prioritized exposures. It creates this beautiful, continuous closed loop. Detect, remediate, verify. Furthermore, CodeMender isn't some rogue, standalone tool running wild in the system. Not at all. It's integrated directly into Google's heavily governed agent platform, right alongside identity management, API gateways, and observability components. It operates completely within the strict Secure AI Framework 2.0 or SAFE 2.0. As industry analysts rightly pointed out, enterprise companies simply won't trust autonomous remediation unless it's strictly governed. So yes, the autonomy is very real, but to prevent weaponization or disastrous errors, human engineers always have the final approval gate before a single line of code ships to production. And finally, let's dive into Section 5, the force multiplier.
All right, this brings us to what is easily the most pressing question for all the developers and security pros tuning in. What happens to the human engineer? Are we literally coding ourselves out of a job right now? Well, back in conference room 7B, after the team read the agent's reasoning trace, which, by the way, read a lot more like a debugging session from a brilliant human colleague than some clunky machine output, one of the engineers hit the nail on the head. This technology isn't here to replace human judgment. Not at all. It acts as a massive force multiplier. It's designed to handle all that exhausting, repetitive grind of root cause archaeology and endless regression testing that totally burns security teams out. It absorbs the sheer volume of work so humans can actually focus. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. The massive remediation gap that has defined software security for decades, it's finally closing. Both offense and defense are running at machine speed now. So if AI can permanently neutralize these exhausting threat classes in mere seconds, what incredible, impossible problems will human engineers tackle next with all that reclaimed time? Thanks so much for exploring this with me today. Definitely keep your eyes on this space, because the speed of defense is only going to get faster.